Hey everyone, this is Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl champion, and you're watching Packers Full Access Live, your daily source for Packers content. Go Pack that.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on Packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Green Bay Packers, talk some NFL draft, talk a little Senior Bowl week, talk a little East-West Shrine Bowl week. Got a lot of stuff to cover. Tim, how you doing this morning, buddy?
Doing good, man. Coffee's flowing. Let's do it.
Let's get it. Let's jump right into it. Waste no time, man. The chat is already lit up. Appreciate everybody swinging through. We got Chris in. We got CJ in. Josh Martin, Mountain Man Pack, Richard King, Boz, So Turtles, Two Tone, Prince in the house. Good to see everybody. Hopefully you're having a great morning. We're supposed to get in the 40s today, I believe, Tim. About 3 or 4 days from now, we're going to get up to 60. So, listen, we're not out of the woods yet. February will hit and it'll get cold again, but we're getting close, man. We're getting closer anyway. So
yeah, we're gonna crack 40 here in Green Bay today too, hopefully. So
let's go.
Let's see.
Let's get it. Let's see. Chris in the chat came in and said, those Krispy Kremes are so close, I can feel myself getting fatter. Obviously talking about the bet we have on the line here. And just to remind everyone, if you're new to the show, hit that like button for us. Feel free to sub to the channel. We appreciate you making us a part of your morning. The bet is, Chris N says we will not fifth-year option Quay or Devontae Wyatt, right? And I said we will fifth-year option at least one. So if they don't fifth-year option them, I owe Chris N 2 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts. And if they do fifth-year option one of those guys, then he owes me a couple. So Prince in the chat says Emilio current status, Taco Bell drive. Getting that breakfast burrito in. But back to what Chris N says here. Here's the timeline we got on it too, Chris. You got a little bit longer to wait before you get those donuts, man. It was April 29th, 2022 was when the Packers picked up Savage's fifth-year option. So expect a decision and answer by April 29th. That's a good kind of target date, Tim, for them to get that fifth-year option in. And how do you feel about it, man? I don't think I've even asked your opinion on this. Do you think there's a chance that they pick up one, both, or maybe just leave it alone? Because here recently, like Chris was saying, they have kind of steered away from it the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. I would think that if they are, I think it's going to be Quay at best. But I think there's a chance they just let it play out. We'll see.
Yeah.
I know you got donuts on the line. I know this is a serious bet, so we'll see.
Absolutely. And to defend Chris here for a second, this is a much different fifth-year option than Savage's. It's a lot more expensive, right? Because you're talking about, defensive lineman, obviously linebacker. I want to say Devontae Wyatt's is significantly higher than Quay, if I remember correctly. But nonetheless, it's about where you're drafted and this and that. And obviously Savage's, I want to say, was $8 million, I believe. If I remember correctly. You guys fact check me on that. I think it was $8 million. This is going to be well over 10. I kind of feel like if they do one, Tim, it's going to be Devontae Wyatt. And I honestly, if they pick one up, I think they'll use it to kind of bridge the gap to the next contract. Who knows? Maybe they will get a deal done and just wipe that fifth-year option off. I don't know if you can do that. I know you can do that with the franchise tag, if I understood correctly. So it kind of feels like a mini franchise tag. I imagine the rules would be very similar, that if they were to work out a deal, it just seems like most teams, what they do in that scenario is they've got a player that they go, man, we really want this dude back. We don't want him to hit the open market. So let's just go ahead and slap a fifth-year option on him. And in Darnell Savage's case, they tacked on voidable years to spread that cap hit out. Of course, Packers are in a situation they don't even need to do that because their cap's in pretty good shape right now. So anything that you want to add to that? Again, I just wanted to showcase that that's going to be April 29th should be about the date that we're looking for to get those fifth-year options in.
No, just make sure you share a donut with me if you win the bet.
You think I'm winning, right? Chris N may pull this one out. We'll see, though, man. It's another great wager. We've got several wagers on the line here. We got Jacob is on the hook to get a tattoo on the left butt cheek of Emilio, right? So we'll see if that happens. And I know we've had a couple other wagers as well. We're also going to be doing an NFL draft contest. So if you're a member of the Patreon group, okay, make sure you jump in there. You can go to patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access or just scan the QR code in the upper right. And as long as you're a member of one of those three tiers, you get access to our chats. I'm going to be creating a separate chat here pretty soon. And what we're going to do is everyone is going to put their mock draft in there that they think, hey, this is what I think the Packers will do. And whoever's mock draft is most accurate, then we're going to be giving away an autographed piece of memorabilia. Also, a reminder as well, this Saturday, we're going to be doing a Senior Bowl live watch party, okay? Keep in mind, we're not going to have the game on the screen, but we're going to be watching the game. We're going to be broadcasting live while the game's going on. Everyone else can watch it on your own, your own TV, what have you, on your phone, and hang out with us while we do it. We're going to be doing a giveaway about halfway through that stream. We're going to try to go the entirety of the game. We may not make it all the way through, but it's just a way for us to kind of keep up with the prospects, give you guys prospect information as they make plays on the field, as they're being interviewed, all that good stuff. So, the giveaway is going to be an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey, a white away jersey by pristineauctions.com. Beckett's involved with that. It's got the certificate of authenticity, the sticker, everything, all that. So, as long as you're a member of one of those 3 tiers on Patreon, or you're a member here on YouTube, you can be a YouTube member as well. I want to steer everything in the direction of Patreon because you guys get a lot more value than just, hey, I'm a YouTube member. That's pretty much all there is there, along with the giveaways. But you can kind of be a part of the community in Patreon if you're there. So anyway, here's the information on the Senior Bowl, Tim. Here's your broadcast team for the 2025 Senior Bowl, airing exclusively on NFL Network and available to stream on NFL Plus. You got Rhett Lewis is going to be doing the play-by-play. Charles Davis is going to be the analyst. Daniel Jeremiah is going to be an analyst, and they're going to have Tom Pelissero on the sideline. Now, Rhett Davis, for those of you who don't know, he contributed a lot to Daniel Jeremiah's Move the Sticks podcast for a long time. Him and Bucky Brooks there together. He would kind of fill in for Daniel Jeremiah when he was working the draft, things like that. Got a great sense of humor, great dude. It's going to be a good broadcast team. I love Charles Davis. Charles Davis, one of my favorite announcers. I want to say I don't know why he hasn't climbed up the ladder as one of the premier guys yet. But I think I know he's too damn nice, and he knows what he's talking about. He's not over the top, Tom Brady's Tom Brady. He's going to get the bag, right? We understand that. And I think Greg Olson's great as well. Don't get me wrong. But Charles Davis is one of the best in the business. Of course, Daniel Jeremiah is a draft expert, former NFL scout, played college ball at Appy State as a quarterback. He's probably, him and Greg Cosell are the 2 guys, Tim, that I trust the most when it comes to draft information, because there's not a whole lot of bias. There's not a whole lot of, Mel Kiper likes to kind of be in the limelight and be all flashy and get his.
Who is a Mel Kiper anyway?
Got to get that back. Don't let me forget that. Put that on the post-it note. But Daniel Jeremiah obviously took over for Mike Mayock when Mike Mayock went to be the GM for the Raiders. Daniel Jeremiah stepped into that lead draft analyst role for the NFL Network. He's done a hell of a job. And then, of course, Tom Pelissero is kind of the second in command from NFL Insiders, only behind Ian Rappaport at NFL.com. So, Tim, it's going to be a lot of fun. 2:30 Eastern time, so that's 1:30 Lambeau time Saturday. Make sure you clear your schedule. Hop in here, hang out with us as we talk a little ball and do a watch party. And it's going to be, like I said before, Tim, very unprofessional. We're going to be eating on camera. We're going to be just hanging out, man. So
get ready to go.
Go. And who knows, man? You'll probably see a couple of future prospects for that team down there in Jacksonville.
Duval.
Yeah, those will be the guys going, when they get drafted.
Exactly right. So there you go. There's the information for the Senior Bowl. The Shrine Bowl, I just uncovered this, is going to be Thursday night, right? We talked about this. They're going to be kicking off about the time we go live for our Thursday night show. So we're going to have it on the screen. It's not going to be a full-blown watch party. We're going to be doing a show, but we'll kind of give you some information as we go through. The team there is going to be, I think that's what Mike, let me see if I can zoom in here and see his name. Mike Yam is going to be doing the play-by-play, okay? And this is going to be, again, 8 o'clock. This is on Thursday night, January 30th. Bucky Brooks, who is kind of Daniel Jeremiah's right-hand man with the Move the Sticks podcast, is going to be doing the analyst work there for that, along with Isaiah Stanback. And then they're going to have Jane Slater on the sideline. For those of you who don't know Jane Slater, I think she covers the Dallas Cowboys mostly. So she'll be the sideline reporter. So that's going to be a lot of fun there, man, for sure. So
yeah, Shrine Bowl is going to be awesome, man.
Yeah. Shrine Bowl is like, some people are going, what's the difference, Clayton? Because it's easy to get them mixed up if you don't follow the draft too closely. Like, I haven't followed that aspect of the draft very closely over the years. And I've started to dip my toe into it since doing the podcast. Think of the Shrine Bowl are kind of the underdogs, right, in the draft. The Senior Bowl seems to be the big dog. There's a lot of top 100 prospects in there, right? And that's going to be Saturday. Again, that's kind of the main event. Leading up to it here on Thursday with the Shrine Bowl, you got those guys that are a little bit more under the radar, right? And like Shedeur Sanders could be the top quarterback taken. Some people have him as the second quarterback. Some people have him as their number one. He'll be at the Shrine Bowl. Now, I think he's playing, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe we'll get access to that information here soon if someone can find us a link showing, hey, here's who's actually playing in the game. Because you get some that they don't want to risk being injured, but they want to go meet with the teams and kind of get their stock out there as well. So that's going to be a good time there too for the Shrine Bowl. Let's see what else we got here. There's a Legacy Bowl too, HBCU Legacy Bowl. That's going to be coming up February 22nd. We'll keep you guys up to date on that, obviously. I think that's right about the time that the Combine hits, if I remember correctly, Tim. So
very cool.
There you go. There is your college all-star game festivities. All right. So Daniel Jeremiah put this tweet out earlier this morning. He said, this is an interesting draft class. The strength is in the middle class. All right. It says picks 20 through 60 are pretty much the same. All right. So again, each draft class is different every year. What I like to kind of keep an eye on is where's the strength of the draft class, both positionally and, is it top heavy? Is it back heavy? How's it sit? Daniel Jeremiah, former NFL scout, seems to be thinking 20 to 60 is a sweet spot. That's where there's just a ton of prospects and they're all kind of graded the same. Okay. That doesn't mean there's not different tiers. It just means there's not a huge drop off from 60 to 61. And there's a significant drop off, right, from, from 20 to 21, if you will, or 19 to 20, I should say. So I put out a tweet and just said, the closer we get to the draft, it feels like the Packers could and probably should trade back in the first round, could potentially triple dip into the 40 prospect pool. The problem, fans will write if they trade completely out of the first round, obviously with the draft being in Green Bay. And I asked, how do you see it? And everybody's chiming in. It's a good, healthy conversation in there. But Tim, man, this is the stage is kind of set. And what I mean by triple dip, like as our draft picks are, let me get the banner up here real quick. Let's look at our draft picks. So you got pick 23, right, which is in that sweet spot, right at the top of the sweet spot. Then you got pick 54. That's in the sweet spot. Then it's pick 87. So as it sits right now, you can only get two guys in there. What if you could trade out, not even out of the first round, but trade down in the first round and pick up a second two somehow, right, to put yourself in that same range to get, now it would take you giving some future compensation or, later compensation in this year's draft to kind of hit that sweet spot. I'm just wondering, why not trade back? If the same dude, and this is what Daniel Jeremiah is saying, it's not this cut and dry, but if the dude you take at 23 is the same as the dude you would take at, say, 60, or you would say 35, why not trade back, grab a little bit of draft capital, and still get a guy in that sweet spot? You know what I'm saying, Tim? Rather, it's either that or you're getting the pick of the litter in this 20 to 60 range, right?
Yeah, and Goody's going to do the right thing. I don't think Goody gives a damn if the fans are going to be upset. He's going to do what he's got to do. I could see that, right? You trade, down in the first, right? Go to, 29 or 30 or something, or you load up on second or third round picks. I trust Goody's going to do what's best for this franchise. And if he sees more value there in that tier, which I think, by the way, Daniel Jeremiah is probably spot on here. Picks 20 to 60 are like, kind of like that range that we're talking about. I could see Goody making a move. I really could. And just watching fans stand there and, have another Miller Lite while they wait for a draft pick,
Hey, it's going to be a good time regardless, man.
Yep.
To me, it amplifies the draft if you've got more picks too, Look
at this. We got my boy all the way from Iraq. He said, let Goody cook.
My man. Hey, appreciate your service, Tony. And you stay safe over there, buddy. Yeah, it's going to be fun, man, either way. If you trade back, you get more picks, right?
Yep.
If you stay put or you trade up, boy, could you imagine this scenario, Tim? We're sitting at 23 and we get to say pick 10 or 11 and they make the announcement right there at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The Packers are on the clock. A trade has happened. The Packers are on the clock. That place is going to blow up, bro. Are you kidding me? So Randy Cleaver says, I'd rather have 3 picks in the top 60 instead of a first and a second. See, that's how I feel, Randy. That's kind of where I'm at right now. But again, there's positive in both scenarios. You know, if you trade up, awesome, man. The energy is going to be through the roof. If you trade back, you get multiple picks and potentially, like Randy said, 3 in that sweet spot.
They could shock us and just take Jaden Higgins with our pick.
That's right, Tim. Which, by the way, we have the measurements there. He measured in at 6'3"3/4, I believe. Let me double check real quick. I won't put it on the screen. I'll just read it off to you.
So he's 6'4" with his spikes on. That's exactly. All. That's all.
6'3" 3/4, and he was the second tallest receiver at the Senior Bowl, I believe is what this is. Let me double check. This might be the Shrine Bowl. No, it's the Senior Bowl. So at the Senior Bowl, he is the second tallest receiver at 6'3", 3¼ 217 pounds. All right. So he's my man. I was trying to see his wingspan. Which number was his wingspan? So it's the very last one. Hand size too. Let's check hand size and wingspan real quick and see where he ranks. Hand size 9.5 inches. So pretty big hands. Looks like he's probably in the 3rd or 4th spot in that term. And then wingspan, he's 6'7" 3/8 on wingspan. He definitely has the widest wingspan of any wide receiver at the Senior Bowl, Tim. So
let's go.
No block, no rock.
There you go. Mark 84 in the chat. Appreciate you swinging through. Said, was there ever a draft hosting team that traded out of the first round? I don't believe so. Of course, we've not been doing this for very long, right? But yeah, I don't think they've ever traded out. And I'm not necessarily saying trade out of the first round. I'm saying trade back to 27, 28. Like I was looking at Baltimore, like, hey, would they be willing to trade up? And it just depends. It all depends on how the other team's draft boards fall, right?
Yep.
Every team's draft boards are a little different, obviously. You see that every year. But, yeah, if a team's sitting there and they have a guy who's 2 tiers higher, a 2-tier higher grade than where they're currently set to pick, and they're going, man, he's going to go any moment now, the value's good enough for us to trade up and get him, then let's say they traded up with the Packers 4 or 5 picks, and the Packers trade back there, and let's say they pick up an extra 4th rounder or extra 3rd rounder, whatever it is, then you got that extra draft collateral to try to trade back up within that top 60 spot. That's how the board works, and that's why the horizontal board is so important. You got these clusters of players at different positions, and then once they get to the point where, okay, you climb down, you got like 3 left. All right, man, if we get down to 2, we had a trade organized with this team 2 weeks ago. Get them on the phone. Get them on the phone. This is falling into place. All right, cool.
Yep.
You fall in, bang, you got that one guy, call him up. Hey, you know that trade we discussed? Is that still on the table? Yeah, we'd love to trade back. All right, let's do it. And now you're on the clock to get one of those guys in that one of the final couple, 2-3 players in that current tier of top talent, according to your board, right?
That's why these mocks are so important. I mean, these teams are doing mocks. You think we were quick to do a mock, man. I bet you Goody's had more than a few that they've been running down. And it's like, it's training basically. You're prepping for every possible scenario. You and I talked about this offline the other day. Nobody's freestyling spur of the moment deals, during the draft. A lot of these were already mocked out, planned out. There were conversations to be had. And like you said, it's how the board falls on draft day for sure.
Yeah. Jason Y in the chat said that means we're trading up or trading down. It kind of feels like that, Jason. It's early. These things are going to get shuffled around. Our board's going to move a lot, obviously. But yeah, I'm with you, man. That's kind of what it feels like. And either way, I'd be good with. I'd rather them trade down, but trading up again, that the roof's going to come off that place at 1265, no doubt. All right, let's move it along here. Just want to kind of talk about how the draft is starting to fall into place. Another thing that he said, Daniel Jeremiah said, working on my initial top 50 prospect list, I have 16 defensive lines slotted in there. So, Tim, within the top 50, there are 16 defensive linemen. If the Packers want to go D-line, whether it's interior or edge, there's going to be plenty of options there. Now, let me give you an example. If there's 16 defensive linemen and we pick at 23, obviously all 16 are not going to come off the board before we pick at 23. That's just kind of a given with the overall value of the draft. Let's say that 5 of those 16 are left when we pick, right? That's a scenario where you go, man, okay, these 5 right here are the best. We like 2 of them better than the other 3, but they're all solid, worthy of this pick. Let's trade back 3 spots, 4 spots, whatever it is. If you had a trade structured in the weeks prior leading up to the draft, if you approach it that way, then you could trade back and feel really good knowing one of these 5 guys are going to be available. And then you might look up and one of the top 2, that were a tier higher than the other 3, but they were clustered together pretty close on the horizontal board. Hey, let's pull the trigger. Let's do it.
Might even be able to get Deion Walker there in the second round,
There you go. He was on the Walker train, no doubt, which, by the way, the measurables there, let me hit it real quick.
I saw that. You tweeted that the other day, right?
Yeah, we got the actual measurables up here now. Let me go to defensive line. So Deion Walker was hands down the tallest defensive lineman at 6'7" 1/4. In terms of weight, he was the second heaviest at 340 pounds. Only Jamari Caldwell was 342, so he outweighed him by 2 pounds. He must have had an extra Krispy Kreme that day.
Thick.
He's only 6'2". Deion Walker 6'7". So keep that in mind. And wingspan, Deion Walker is 7'1.5" wingspan. That's just insane. That is crazy. So, Deion Walker is a physical beast. Now, listen, if his tape was stellar, Tim, this dude would be a top 3 pick because of that size, right?
Yep.
So some people are going, man, why are some people saying he might make it to the second or third round? The tape this year was down for sure. Last year, tape was up. This year, it was down. Think of Jaden Reed, though.
Yep.
Cody's not scared to go back a year and go, hey, we've seen what he can do. Let's get him right. And some people, many people like to look at the draft and they look at it like, well, what is a player good at? What is he bad at? The thing that I've noticed in coaches that I've talked to, and nobody at the NFL level, but people who study this and coach it at the college level, JUCO, high school, things like that, and just kind of picking people's brains, and then hearing Bill Belichick say this, it come out of his mouth after studying him for so long. Michael Lombardi reaffirmed that, talking about that's the way Belichick thinks. He said there was many times they were creating their draft board and they're putting grades and putting scouting reports together on these prospects. And it would be, yeah, but he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do this. And they said Bill would get mad, throw his pen down and go, I don't care what he can't do. Tell me what he can do. What can he contribute to the team?
Yep.
What can he do? And let's make our decision based off what a player can do rather than his shortcomings. And that's it. I thought that was a really, really interesting way of looking at it, because you can pick a prospect apart. You can find some. I mean, it's the height's good, the weight's good, his hands are good, his speed's good. You know what, man? I don't like the size of his ankles. He looks like he's got weak ankles. All right, put a negative mark there. Next thing you know what I'm saying? Just whatever it may be, you can really outthink yourself in those scenarios, I think.
Definitely.
I'm not saying the negatives don't matter, Tim, but most coaches look at it like, I know Belichick anyway, and people from history is what can he do for the team?
Yep. Especially considering, after you're drafted, you can improve upon some of your negatives too. Some guys, they transition well to the league, and things that they didn't do well in college, they find a way to do well at the pro level. So I think it's really true. You should focus on, the positives and what a guy can bring to the table. You work on the rest.
Yeah. Definitely. Jake Shavik in the house. Senior Bowl week. Everyone get hyped, man. We're fired up, Jake. Appreciate you swinging through, buddy. Holmes MD1. Is Walker a 3-tech? You can pull up the tape on Walker, and he played, he mostly played 1 and 3. There's a couple of times you can see him on the outside shoulder of the tackle. Some would say he was wide enough to call it a wide 9. I would call it more of a 5-tech. But, yeah, he was all over the defensive line, but at the NFL level, guys, he's going to be in the middle unless he can prove to be someone like a freak like Chris Jones. I don't expect that, but I think he's probably a 1 to 3 tech. Most likely teams will see him as a 1 because he can beat double teams. At least he did last year. If I can pull up his information here, I won't put it on the screen, but I'll give you his exact snap alignment last year. And again, he's only 20 years old, which is wild. So here's where he aligned. Let's go back to last year. Okay. 352 snaps in the 3-tech, 230 directly over the tackle, which means a 4 to a 5-tech. Okay. So most of his snaps 3, and then he went over tackle, a 4 to a 5-tech, 230 snaps. So you're seeing a 3 to 5-tech is essentially what you got there, and that's in 2023. Last year, however, he only had 99 snaps over the tackle. He played 247 in the B, which is the 3-tech, and he played 142 in the 1-tech, the A-gap. You know what that says to me, Tim, honestly? it kind of feels like the reason he took a dip in production is they asked him to kick to the one tech more often last year, and he was probably eating double teams much like Kenny was this year.
Makes
you know
sense.
what I'm saying? Yeah. Because, again, in 2023, his PFF grade was an 80.6. In 2024, it drops to a 71.2. And then when you comb through the snaps and the snap alignments, he went from playing 3 tech to playing nose. To playing 3 and he went from playing 3 tech and 5 tech or 4 tech to playing nose, 0 to 1, little shade, to a solid 1, right? So that's interesting, man. That might be the answer we were looking for there, man.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of how he would fit in on our D line with our boys. I don't think they're going to have him playing a lot of nose, but we won't know unless we draft him, right? So hopefully they draft him.
And I love this too because every year there's a handful of players that we talk about a lot. Like last year, all year long, it was Tyler Nubin, right? Tyler Nubin was the kind of the talk. Tyler Nubin and Javon Bullard really kind of, and Katano Ladapo, of course, were the highlights for us, right? We talked linebacker a little bit. We talked about Edgerrin Cooper could be a freak, but he kind of only did it 1 year. There's a little question there. Now, obviously, he's the real deal. This year, you're seeing Deion Walker, and you're also seeing Mike Green out of Marshall seem to kind of dominate a little bit. And people are talking about that Mike Green has the potential to be this year's Quinyon Mitchell at these All-Star games, right? So, like, he could potentially go in there and really improve his stock and solidify, hey, look, yeah, I know I played at Marshall, but I can hang with the big boys. That was the knock on Quinyon. And obviously you've seen Quinyon make a huge splash there in the game the other day. I would argue the only other person that made a bigger splash than Quinyon in that game is probably the refs. You know what I'm saying? So he did step up when they needed it the most, no doubt. All right, let's see. I think we're all caught up. We are. So there is just a little update, walk across Twitter. Tim, I want to try to get this in. Let me ask you this. Which would you rather do? We're at the 27-minute mark. Would you rather do the Senior Bowl sleepers, top 5 sleepers, the top 5 biggest takeaways from the weigh-ins, or do Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft 1.0 using the PFF mock draft simulator? Which
you already know what I'm going to say. Let's cue up that mock. Let's go.
I think this will be fun, man. I really do. So here's what we're going to do, guys, just to explain this, okay? Daniel Jeremiah put out an article, and in this article, it's basically his mock draft 1.0. So this is his very first mock draft of the year, all right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put on the screen, if I can get this to pull up here, we're going to put on the screen the mock draft simulator. And I'm trying to get my screen to where I can see all 3 in one here. That would be ideal. And we can still have it to where you guys can read. Everybody in the draft, mock. Let's go, mock. All right. So we're doing it. Let's see here. Let's go mock draft simulator. Bang. And I'm just going to read to you guys the picks, and then I'll make the picks. Does that make sense, Tim?
Yep.
All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. We're going to do 1 round. We got all the teams selected, okay? We're going to go ahead and enter the draft. And here's how this is going to work. I hope I don't screw it up. If I do, we'll just make it up with the next pick, so we ain't going to get too hung up on it. To give you guys a little preview of this mock draft, I've got a screen grab that we're going to hold on to, mock drafts by Daniel Jeremiah and other people that we have a lot of respect for on this sucky little show, right? There's his mock draft, okay? So Abdul Carter 1, Travis Hunter 2, Cam Ward 3, Will Campbell 4, Mason Graham 5, Shedeur Sanders 6, Tyler Warren 7, Tatero McMillan 8th, Mikael Williams 9th, Tyler Booker 10, Armand Membo 11, Ashton Jeanty 12, Kelvin Banks Jr. 13, Jahdae Brown 14, Will Johnson 15, Jalen Walker 16. Just to give you a quick glimpse, we've got that we can refer back to later. Let's do it in real time, Tim, and see how this shakes out. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, man. So let me get this on the screen where you guys can see it, and we're going to have to make all these picks, so I got to go kind of quick.
Get ready to go.
That's why I was asking, do you guys want to do it this way or not? Can you guys see that okay? Is that all right, Tim?
Yes.
All right, good deal. I'm trying to get it zoomed in a little bit more. All right, here we go. Let's start it. Starting the draft, we're picking with every team. All right, Titans are on the clock. Daniel Jeremiah had them take Abdul Carter, okay, edge defender out of Penn State. The number 2 pick, he had the Cleveland Browns take Travis Hunter, cornerback out of Colorado. All right, so there's your top 2 picks. Number 3, he had the New York Giants taking quarterback Cam Ward All right. Now, here's what's cool. You're already seeing with the PFF board, you're reaching a little bit, right, to go get Cam Ward. People go, man, that seems like a reach, Clayton. He's down there a little lower, right? He's in the 17 spot, and they're picking third. We talk about this every year. Greg Cosell is the one who taught me this. There's 2 drafts every spring, and I say this every draft season. You've got the NFL draft and you got the quarterback draft. Typically, quarterbacks are considered one tier higher than other positions, right? It's that important.
Especially if you're the Giants.
Yeah, you better be putting a priority on quarterback. There's no doubt. So that's why you'll typically see quarterbacks ranked a little lower, but they're treated as if they're the best available because they see them as such a valuable commodity. They're going to go 1 or 2 tiers higher than the current tier of talent. So Cam Ward to the New York Giants at number 3 is what Daniel Jeremiah's got. All right, number 4, the New England Patriots. He's got them taking offensive tackle Will Campbell. So here's Will Campbell. He's the 8th best prospect on the board out of LSU. We'll send Will Campbell to the Patriots. Number 5 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hit me with that Duval. If you
Duval.
That weirdo right there made a hell of a pick. He went Mason Graham, defensive lineman out of Michigan. Boys, that's a solid pick, in my opinion. The fact that you're getting him there at that spot, to me, is pretty impressive. I think he will be the best defensive tackle coming off the board, and that's how I would build the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've already paid Trevor Lawrence all that money, right?
Yep.
Let's try to focus on positions of importance, right, in that tier 1 category. Left tackle, quarterback, you think you've already got your guy. Whether we agree or not, they think they've got their guy, right? So left tackle, 3 tech, defensive tackle, 3 to 1, whatever you want to call it, and then edge defender, right? I think they've got a decent edge defender they drafted. I can't remember his name now. It was Balky's dude that they took, Trayvon Walker maybe. So they feel like they've got a solid edge on the outside. Go get that 3 tech. So this makes all the sense in the world here. Mason Graham going to the Jacksonville Jaguars out of Michigan. Next, you got the Raiders. They're going to go with what the rumor said, Shedeur Sanders. Tim, look at this, man. Look where Shedeur is, according to PFF.
Wow.
This is the thing that really stood out to me because I have Shedeur Sanders significantly higher on our board. Now, I'm not going to take the time to pull our board up right now, but we have him significantly higher than PFF has him. Now, look at his average draft position per mocks, though, 4.3.
Right.
And they got him sitting in the 43 spot. So the Raiders are going to get their guy in Shedeur Sanders. You see how far they reach for a quarterback there, according to the PFF big board, right? So next up is the Jets. They're going to take Tyler Warren, tight end out of Penn State. All right. So the Jets are going to go with Tyler Warren. Next is the Carolina Panthers. They're going to go with the first receiver off the board and at the top of the draft here in Tataro McMillan out of Arizona. Okay. He's going to the Carolina Panthers. So they're going to get a guy that could potentially be a number 1 target there. Let's see. Next, you've got wrong screen. You've got Mikael Williams going to the Saints at number 9. Okay, Mikael Williams is an edge defender. Let's see where he's at. He's all the way down the 18 spot. So the PFF big board has Mike Green higher, James Pierce Jr. higher. You see what I'm saying, Tim? You're starting to see a couple players that are starting to fall a little bit, right?
Yep.
This might be that situation we're talking about when you get around the 10 mark. If the Packers could potentially trade up, you're looking at these guys that might be in their top tier of talent. Hey, this is worth it to go up, right? So
for sure.
Something to keep an eye on. So again, Mikael Williams, number 18, is going number 9 to the Saints. All right. Next is the Chicago Bears.
Get ready to go.
Let's hope they screw it up. Daniel Jeremiah's got him going guard Tyler Booker out of Georgia. So let's look for Tyler Booker out of Georgia. Wow. Is he really that far down?
Ooh.
Hold up a second. That can't be right. Did I overlook him? Let's just go interior offensive lineman. 65th.
Wow.
PFF has him in the 65 spot, and Daniel Jeremiah, former NFL scout, is saying Tyler Booker will go top 10. So I'm just telling you right now, if you're asking me to pick which one you trust the most, it's definitely Daniel Jeremiah over PFF. That's a big discrepancy right there, man. So let's hope that PFF's right and Daniel Jeremiah's wrong, and they just screw the pooch here, right? And Chicago, a horrible player. All right, up next is the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to go with Armand Mimbo, interior offensive lineman out of Missouri. So this kind of feels like it's going to be another reach, right? I bet they got him listed as a tackle. They do. Okay. So PFF has him as a tackle. I think what Daniel Jeremiah is probably saying is he'll be playing interior offensive line. It says Mimbo is the most technically sound offensive lineman in the class. He reminds me of Elijah Vera Tucker, however you say the name. When he entered the league, Mimbo will be an exceptional guard who can also play tackle if needed. So there you're talking about versatility. So he's 21 on the big board here, according to PFF. San Francisco is going to take him at number 11. So there's another little twist there, right, Tim?
Yep.
So Dallas are going to get, I think, one of the steals of the draft here. Ashton Gianti, running back. I'm getting emotional over it.
Boise State.
This dude's a stud, man. You talking about a guy, he's in our top tier of talent on the entire board. On our board, and I don't see it changing unless he completely screws the pooch, like at the combine or something. I don't see Ashton Gianti falling out of our top tier of talent. So
here's the guy.
It kind of feels like the Bijan Robinson of this year's draft. You know what I'm saying, Tim?
Yeah,
it really does.
Yep.
So Dallas is going to go get a running back to put with their expensive quarterback there in Dak Prescott for the new coaching staff. Coming in there for who was it? Was it Schottenheimer that got that head coaching job?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. At least they didn't get that cat Duval, man. Liam Cohen was at Kentucky for a little bit. I never seen him act like that, man. If he'd acted like that at Kentucky, I think I'd have just burned my damn jerseys. You know what I mean?
Duval.
At least it's not that guy. Anyway, Dallas is going to take Ashton Gianti out of Boise State. Up next is the Miami Dolphins. They're going to go offensive tackle Kelvin Banks Jr. So let's just skip straight to the point here. PFF has him listed as the second best offensive tackle on the board, right? And this is the Colts. No, this is the Dolphins picking. Okay. So Kelvin Banks Jr., they're going to bypass Josh Simmons, and they're going to go to Kelvin Banks Jr. out of Texas. All right. And I was trying to see here. Daniel Jeremiah said nothing is more important for the Dolphins than protecting Tua Tagovailoa. Banks can do that at tackle or guard. So it sounds like there's some versatility there as well. Next, you got the Colts on the clock, and they're going to go with cornerback Jahdae Brown. That's a person that we've mentioned quite a bit, that we've looked into. He's on our short list of corners that we like early in the draft. He's out of Texas. He's sitting in the 28th spot. His average draft position, according to the mock draft database here within PFF, is 27.2. So this seems like a bit of a reach for PFF. However, Daniel Jeremiah says Jahdae Brown to the Colts there with pick 14. All right, next you got the Falcons. Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. This looks like a great pick for the Falcons too. Sitting in the 6th spot on PFF's overall prospect ranking. You getting him at 15, and it's a need for the Falcons. Maybe not the top need, but a solid need. This is a nice pick here for the Falcons.
Yep, another corner off the board. Positional need for us too, but certainly not in the early rounds.
Yeah, and Daniel Jeremiah says Will Johnson is a polarizing player around the league. He provides size and production, but some questions emerged about his tackling and top speed in 2024. Make a note of that. Will Johnson's 40-yard dash probably going to play a big role in whether or not he solidifies himself as a top prospect or drops a little bit on the board. So keep that in mind. Up next, we got the Arizona Cardinals. They're going to go linebacker Jalen Walker from Georgia. So where's Jalen Walker on this list, Tim? He's pretty far down. So they've got 51 spot, and they've got the Cardinals taking him at 16. This feels like the Quay Walker pick, does it not?
Yep.
And I remember
another linebacker from Georgia, another Walker. I love it.
And he's, it says he's a bit undersized as an edge rusher, but he offers an intriguing mix of length, explosiveness, and playmaking ability. That's what we talked about Quay. Some people were going, can he play like Maka? Can he rush the quarterback? He's an athletic freak, right? All those things. Quay may be a little bit undersized, a little light in weight to be an edge rusher, but he can kind of play in the middle. I don't know, man. This feels just like it. And I also remember Quay, if I remember correctly, and you guys correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, he was outside of the first round in most mocks and most databases. Yep. But the week leading up, man, he built up all kinds of steam. There was all kinds of rumors. This dude's skyrocketing up draft boards. So that's kind of interesting, a little parallel there from another Georgia linebacker. Sitting in the 51 spot, the Cardinals are going to take him at 16. Up next on the clock is the Cincinnati Bengals. They're going to take my boy Walter Nolan. Now, listen, he's significantly lower here, if I remember correctly. Walter Nolan, if we look for him, there's Trey Amos, his teammate. Walter Nolan's sitting in the 36th spot, and the Bengals are going to take him at 17. You guys remember he's a little bit higher on our board, right? So it's obvious Daniel Jeremiah kind of agrees with that assessment. They're going to pick him 17th there to the Bengals. So Walter Nolan is now off the board. Number 18, you got Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, going to the Seattle Seahawks. This is interesting for me, Tim, because if you want an interior defensive line, right, it depends on what your board looks like. Kenneth Grant's the best available right here, right?
Yep.
The Packers might want to try to trade up to around the 16 or 17 mark if they want to get one of these top-tier defensive tackles, right? But again, with there being 16 defensive linemen in Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, you like your chances of either an edge or a 3-tech being there when you pick at 23. So,
and then you want to play the odds that one of these top guys might not pan out, and then you might find better value with some of these mid-tier guys. You never know. We see first-round picks that struggle a lot of times, and then you see guys with the later draft stock, they tend to do better. So it's kind of a crapshoot. It depends on how aggressive I think Goody wants to be at that position. If he's feeling like, there's a guy that he wants bad enough, I think he does pull the trigger and move up if we're going to go D tackle in the first round. If not, I think we trade back probably, try and make a move in that second or third.
Yeah, and I'm eager to see who's going to be on the board when we pick. It's going to be fun. So Seattle is going to take Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, out of Michigan with the 18th pick. And number 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Daniel Jeremiah has them taking Jihad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. So let's see where our Bama boy is here. Let's see, right here in the 40 spot, his average draft position is right around that at 39.9. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to take him with the 19th pick. So Jihad Campbell is the guy there. Next, you've got Nick Emanwore. I hope I'm saying that right. Emanwore. I doubt it, Tim. I want everyone to understand during draft season, Clayton is going to screw up more names. I mean, there's going to be more Brett Favre moments in this draft than ever before.
Who?
But with the 20th pick, the Denver Broncos are going with Nick Emanwore, safety out of South Carolina. All right, so let's go find him out of South Carolina. There's his teammate, Demetrius King, a linebacker. There's TJ Sanders, another teammate, defensive lineman.
Thick.
Kyle Kennard, another an edge defender, another teammate. We're going to have to dig a little bit here, I believe, unless I'm overlooking him. I don't think I am. So, again, he is a safety, unless he's listed as a corner. Wow, look at this, Tim. They've got him in the 85 spot. So the Broncos are taking, according to PFF, the 85th best prospect out of South Carolina. He's either going to be a stud or he's going to be a bust, nothing in between.
Exactly.
Right? So there you go. The Broncos have got their guy. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 21 are going to go with wide receiver Matthew Golden out of Texas. I know there's some Packer fans that like Matthew Golden. I'm not as big on him as others. His ranking is 23rd, so this is right in that sweet spot for the Steelers. They're probably going to take that pick and look to get rid of their knucklehead over there. What's his name? Carl Pickens or whatever. Not Carl Pickens.
Or George Pickens.
They're saying, let's get Matthew Golden in here and get Pickens the hell out of town. That's probably what they're thinking there. So Matthew Golden to the Steelers. So now the Chargers are on the clock. They're going to go with the tight end, Colton Loveland. This is according to Daniel Jeremiah. All right. That is the top tight end in the draft. He's the 29th ranked player in the draft. It drops all the way down to 70 according to PFF when you get to Harold Fannin Jr. Okay, after that. So Colton Loveland will be the pick for the Chargers. So the Packers, Tim, are on the clock. I want to take a second here, okay? I want to take a second, and we're gonna tell you right off the bat, here's who he picks for the Packers. He says edge defender Shamar Stewart, okay? The 20th overall prospect, all right? His average draft position has been 22.4. He's out of Texas A&M, right? So Shamar Stewart is Daniel Jeremiah's pick. Let's look at his PFF numbers here real quick. You're seeing improvement every year, 46.3, 69.5, 79.5. His run defense grade, 88.2. His pass rush win rate, 12.4%, around the three-quarter mark. Run stop rate is down under the median mark at 5.5%. true pass set pass rush grade of 72.3, in between the median and the 3/4 mark. And then the pass rush grade is 67.2. This is one of those dudes, Tim, that's obviously a project. And if I think I know how the chat is going to react here, I agree with it. This feels like another Goody pick. I understand why Daniel Jeremiah says this. I just don't like it. This is what it says. The Packers love front seven players from the SEC with outstanding traits. Stewart fits the mold. There's those traits again, that ball of clay, Tim.
Why don't you just scroll one down and do the right thing and pick Jack Sawyer?
Well, here's the thing, too. Here's the best prospects available with this draft. And again, I think this is a very realistic approach to how these teams may treat this draft, right? Top player available is safety Malachi Starks out of Georgia. You're not interested there. According to PFF, a top 10 talent in James Pierce Jr. at the edge position out of Tennessee is there. Let's compare his numbers. Look at his numbers, Tim.
Wow.
68, 90, and 87. I mean, his pass rush grade, 88.9. His run defense grade, 84.2. Pass rush win rate, guys, 22.7%.
Here's the guy.
True pass set pass rush grade of 83.4 and a run stop rate of 10.1%. Tim, I don't know, bro. 6'5", 243. Like,
yeah,
this
that's a unit right there.
Yeah, this would probably be my pick here if we were doing this mock draft, and I'd be over the freaking moon. You know, I don't know. How do you feel about it, man? We're gonna pick who Daniel Jeremiah picks. I just want to look at some of the options here, man.
I want a D tackle before I want edge, but that's why I'm not the GM. So I think there's some validity to what you're saying about Pierce here. He might be the better option, even over my guy Sawyer.
Yeah.
But I do think if they stick and pick, there's probably a good chance they go edge at this point of the draft. But
right,
I don't know.
Here's what's crazy too. Like when I did my mock draft and I took Jack Sawyer, I felt really good about it. Right. People on Twitter were saying there's no way Jack Sawyer will be there, and I'm going, hell, here he is, former NFL scout doing a mock draft. It looks like he's more than going to be there. I mean, there's a bunch of edge defenders. Look at this. James Pierce Jr. You've also got Mike Green out of Marshall, right? That guy we're talking about could turn heads this week. Shamar Stewart, who Daniel Jeremiah's picking for the Packers to take. Jack Sawyer, Nick Scourton, and then you're getting into some D tackles. So this is,
I'm saying. See, Talik Williams is on the board.
Let's look at just the defensive lineman alone here, man. Let's take a look. So just the defensive lineman alone, you got Talik Williams, 26 overall, TJ Sanders, 35 overall, Omar Norman Lott at 47, and then you're kind of reaching after that, right, with the Deion Walkers, the Alfred Collinses, the Derek Harmons, according to PFF. So what's interesting here is what we opened the show with, like, man, it kind of feels like the Packers should trade back. I mean, look at this. If James Pierce is in your top tier of talent, I think it's a no-brainer you go get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like Shamar Stewart here. But what the hell do I know? I'm just a dumb redneck, right? So it's just interesting to see how it falls into place. If you were to trade back 5 spots, that's going to guarantee you're going to get one of these. You could probably trade back and get Shamar Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
So what if the Packers traded back 3, 4, 5 spots like we were talking about, pick up some extra draft capital to try to triple dip into that sweet spot of 20 to 60, and then you still get your guy in Shamar Stewart. And you know what? If Shamar Stewart goes, and when you come pick again, you're picking between Mike Green and James Pierce. Oh, Lord, that's just horrible,
Yeah.
And
Mike Green, man.
Yeah. And like you said, what if you trade back and all those edges go, and now you're picking, you get extra draft capital, and you can take a defensive tackle best available, right? So,
Absolutely.
So anyway, we'll go rapid fire from here on out. The whole reason we did this mock with Daniel Jeremiah's mock 1.0 is to get to this point and go, wow, look at the options, right? So, yeah, let's see J. Cole. Let's see what he says here. Clayton, you know your team. That would be a bad pick if you're looking to win now. Another LV. And you're talking about James Pierce Jr., I'm assuming, Jay. To me, James Pierce doesn't look like an LVN. James Pierce, I mean, look at the grades. I don't remember what LVN's college grades were. I don't remember them being just through the roof though, Tim. You know what I mean? I could be wrong, but I remember it being like this dude's an athletic freak. Maybe they were like this. Maybe you know what? Maybe J. Cole is correct there. Or is he talking about Stewart? He says Stewart. Maybe he was
talking about Stewart. Yeah.
So your team, that would be a bad pick if you're looking to win now. Another LV. Gotcha. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I would feel a lot better about like a James Pierce than I would a Shamar Stewart. I see what you're saying there. That's a great point, Jay. Yeah. So Turtles is saying take the top defensive lineman first, right? And again, we're going to do what Daniel Jeremiah did, which is take Shamar Stewart. We're just getting everybody's opinion. Hey, what would this look like, right? So take the top 10 talent, Judah Tom says, right? So, yeah, I think we're all on the same page, but we're going to move forward with what Daniel Jeremiah is going to do here, and that is take Shamar Stewart, edge defender out of Texas A&M. And I'm eager to see where these other guys, Tim, make a mental note. Let's see how long they stick around, right? So
absolutely.
All right, Shamar Stewart, bang, is who Daniel Jeremiah got. Next, you got the Minnesota Vikings. They go Malachi Starks. I love that pick for the Vikings, by the way, with obviously, guy can never think of his name, Harrison getting a little older.
Yep.
That's a dude he's a top 10 prospect according to PFF.
And they better be smart. They don't have a lot of picks in this draft.
No, definitely. Up next, you got the Houston Texans. They're going to go wide receiver Luther Burden III. Okay, so they're going to get C.J. Stroud another target down there. Boy, that talking about a wild receiving core. That's interesting there. So they're saying it's the top need too. I know injuries kind of decimated that room this year, but they go wide receiver. So now you're at 26, and James Pierce is still there, Tim. And here's what's crazy: the Rams are going to go offensive tackle Josh Connerly Jr. out of Oregon. I apologize. So they're going to go offensive tackle here, according to Daniel Jeremiah. And then Baltimore Ravens are going to go Azare Thomas out of Florida State is who they're going to go with here. Where's he at on the board? Because I don't remember seeing him up toward the top. He must be a little lower. So according to Daniel Jeremiah, they're going to reach a little bit for a cornerback here, the Baltimore Ravens. Or, of course, the Ravens will pick him and he'll be a stud. That's just the way that always works.
Right.
They got him in the 84 spot on PFF. So you're seeing a big discrepancy from where Daniel Jeremiah currently sees these prospects and where the PFF big board sees them.
That's why we're doing this, though. Yeah. We love it.
And I've already got the screen grab saved, so we'll hit on it tonight, kind of recap it and see, hey, what if the draft did fall this way, right? Up next, you got the Detroit Lions. Nobody's going to like this, boys. The Detroit Lions are going to take Mike Green.
Don't put that name in my mouth right there.
So what you're seeing is if you wanted to pick between James Pierce, Mike Green, and these other big defensive tackles, you're probably going to have to trade down to Baltimore to stay ahead of them. It's going to improve your chances there. So they are going to take Mike Green in Detroit. I think every Lions fan would be over the moon with that, or James Pierce Jr., to be honest with you. Next, you got the Washington Commanders. They're going to take offensive tackle Josh Simmons. That looks like a solid pick for them. Go ahead and help protect their boy, Jaden Daniels in Washington. And then next, you got the Buffalo Bills. This is where Derek Harmon goes, Tim. So he goes 30 to the Bills. So you're going to look to trade back no more than 6 spots if you want to keep a chance at taking one of these top defensive tackles. Right now, here's what's interesting. Derek Harmon is significantly lower than where Daniel Jeremiah sees him going. I mean, significantly lower. PFF has him currently in the 86th spot. I think that's wild. That's why when we got him in the 3rd round, we crushed that mock draft, right? If I pull it up here real quick, matter of fact, I think we got it right here. We got Derek Harmon in the 3rd round. I don't see it happening.
It's pretty good for our first mock, man. I think we crushed it.
Oh, we know. Of course we did. We got Jaden Higgins, right?
Yeah,
we got Jaden Higgins.
And we got Kobe.
Yeah, a very good point, right? And he's being linked to the Packers a lot this week. They've had a lot to they've been meeting with him, it sounds like. So, so the Buffalo Bills, again, are going to go with Derek Harmon. So we just need to make a mental, which we got the screen grab. We can do it later. We need those mental notes of, all right, when did these guys go, right? So, and that's going to determine how far you need to trade, that you can trade back and still get one of what we consider these top guys. You're seeing, though, what he's talking about. Once you get outside of 20, all these guys are kind of bunched together, right? Like Derek Harmon, he's obviously, according to Daniel Jeremiah, good enough to take here with the Buffalo Bills pick. So let's go Derek Harmon for them. And then you got the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to get a run now on these defenders, Tim. Next, you got TJ Sanders, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. And I think he was a little bit lower on PFF's board, but obviously many people like him a lot. We're going to have to go. Was he up here? Did we just miss him? No. They've got him significantly lower. So, no, there he is, 35. I must have overlooked him. So they got TJ Sanders in the 35 spot. Philadelphia Eagles are going to get him at 31. Tim, surprise, surprise, right? TJ Sanders going to the Eagles. The Eagles once again going, I know we got the best defensive line in football. We're just going to make it even stronger.
Yep.
That's what you've got to do, guys, if you want to keep that defensive front style. You've got to. And I know we get angry.
Big reason why they're in the Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And again, fans are, do we really need another D? Yeah, load up. You can never have too many, quote-unquote, 3-techs, right? Again, as Michael Lombardi and Bill Belichick said, everybody thinks they got a 3-tech, and very few teams truly do. So the Eagles are just going to keep reloading that, according to Daniel Jeremiah. There's definitely precedent there for that. All right, so before we make the 32nd pick here for the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to tell you who they're going to take. They're taking James Pierce Jr.
Of course.
Could you imagine the Chiefs getting a top 10 talent if the PFF board is correct, and we're not saying it is, just using this as a tool. Could you imagine them getting a top 10 talent with the 32nd pick, Tim? And here we took Shamar Stewart, right?
Yeah. I can totally see that happening, of course. Just exactly how it would go, wouldn't it?
And it sucks.
And it
sucks. We'll do it live. This thing sucks. So there you go. No more rigged Chiefs games. That's an executive order signed by Emilio himself. All right. So there it is. I had somebody complain the other day, would you stop showing pictures of Trump? Like, oh my God.
Oh, gosh.
It's Emilio photoshopped on his – I don't know what to do to make people.
I'm not saying it's the best Photoshop, but it's a good Photoshop.
I really tried to blend that. That was a piss poor effort, too. Look at that. I left his hairline in. With
I was going to say, you could tell Emilio's got the wig on, man.
It's hilarious. Guys, we're going to make fun of politicians on both sides of the aisle. That's what we do here. So
that's right.
I don't know what to tell you. It's the only way I know to try to unify people is point out that both sides are just absolutely lost their mind.
Right.
Again, if you
want to look at Clayton pointing them out right here.
Right. If I know what the hell is going on in the world, right? I'm just, like I said, I'm just down here living in my bubble. But anyway.
It was the best Photoshop ever. Very good. I mean, very good.
All right. So here we go. Before we go, James Pierce, is there any positions you want to see, Tim? Because what's going to happen as soon as I make this pick, we're not going to have access to the database, and it's just going to show us the draft board. So
show me those defensive tackles, man.
So let's see who made it through the first round, according to Daniel Jeremiah.
Oh, look, Deion Walker.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Here's the guy.
So you got Tyleik Williams, who's the 26th best prospect, according to PFF. You got Omar Norman Lott, who is the 47th ranked defensive lineman out of Tennessee, obviously James Pierce's teammate. You've got Alfred Collins, 63, in the 63 spot out of Texas, right? He's sitting there. You got Deion Walker, who's sitting in the 74 spot out of Kentucky. You got J.J. Peegs at 109 out of Ole Miss. You got Simeon Barrow Jr. at 121 out of Miami. You got Shamar Turner out of Texas A&M at 134. I gotta make sure we didn't take the wrong guy. That sounds a lot like the guy we took. Let's see here just to make sure that we did get it right. Shamar Stewart, yeah, is who he had him taken. Okay. I was like, we might have screwed this whole thing up, Tim. So, and then you've got, it's obviously going to drop off after that. You got my boy Riley Mills, who battled through an injury last year, or dealt with an injury, rather. He's got to come out of the other side with that. Also, that was early, and Howard Cross III had to step up. So those two guys, Howard Cross has dropped significantly, man. Last year, he was highly touted. Look at that PFF grade, 89.8. Tim, I would not be surprised if this is the Jaden Reed of this year's draft. You know? That you look up in the second round and he gets picked over everyone else, and it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, 2023 was an absolute dog. Let's see if anything changed in the snaps. Pretty much the same, pretty same rate there. He's mostly a 3-tech, and he can kick to the A-gap as well. play a one tech
and help us in the pass rush. Clearly his strong suit. Yep.
Just the injuries. That was the main thing this year with Howard Cross. So that's probably what's got him dropped down significantly. He might not be ready. I don't know. We'd have to dig into that a little deeper. So, yeah, as far as what Daniel Jeremiah said about Pierce, again, James Pierce is the person who's sticking out the most to me in this little mock. Is like, why did he fall so far? It says some people see Pierce going earlier in round 1. While there might be a debate about where he'll land in the draft, there's no doubt about his elite speed and production. So he kind of fits that measurable thing that Goody likes, right?
Yep.
So if I had to put money on it after seeing Daniel Jeremiah's first mock draft here, Tim, not just because he took Shamar Stewart, I would say there's a really good chance the Packers take an edge defender if they stay put at 23. You know,
I would agree.
I hope they trade back and get an extra bite at the pie there, and go D tackle. But if they were to take a top tier, you know, obviously it would be in their top tier. They're not going to reach. That's the other thing, guys. We're looking at this like, why did they take a guy less? If they take him, that means he was in their top tier talent. There's no arguing that, right? Yeah. So it just depends on what Goody's board looks like. So,
Goody's not going to care where PFF has him.
Right. There's going to be some people saying, hey, what about wide receiver, right? So they've got Egbuka out of Ohio State. He's the 14th best prospect. He's still on the board. Alec Onyemata out of Stanford. He's in the 34 spot. Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU in the 49 spot. Xavier Restrepo out of Miami in the 50 spot. And then Tim's boy, Jaden Higgins in the 55 spot.
Here's the guy.
That's setting up. If that happens like Daniel Jeremiah says, we might have a shot to get him in the second round.
That whole crop of receivers is really good. Even Jalen Royals there.
Yep.
And then the two kids from TCU, Jack Beck and Savion Williams, another set of guys to keep an eye on. But yeah, Jaden Higgins is my dude for sure.
Yeah. Comparing those two out of TCU, you've got Savion Williams, his PFF were 58, 72, 78. Okay. And then his teammate Jack Beck was 65, 62, and then bang, he popped to an 83. So you're getting a little bit more consistency with Savion Williams, but also Jack Beck turning heads there too. 6'2", 215, got good size, only 22 years old as a senior as well. Savion Williams is 6'5", 225. There you go. That dude.
Yeah, told you, man. I ain't looking at no shorties this year in the receiver class.
Exactly. All right. I think we covered it pretty good. I'm trying to think any other, there's a chance the Packers could go offensive tackle again if that's the case. Wyatt Malum was still on the board. Gray Zabel, the guy out of North Dakota State, we talked about him. He's still on the board. Cameron Williams out of Texas, big prospect there. Just a couple guys. If we were to go interior offensive line, Tate Ratledge out of Georgia, and then you got Jared Wilson in the 103 spot is the center out of Georgia. But look at the two Georgia boys right there at the top, man.
Yep.
So,
and then the next two are good looks too. There could be mid-round value with Connor Colby or Luke Kendra too.
Yeah. Keep in mind too, as we pick James Pierce here for the Kansas City Chiefs with the last pick of the first round, that does kind of set the stage, Tim. It sets the stage for another second-round potential center draft pick for the Packers.
Yep.
Like, there's precedent there, right? You took Elton Jenkins, who was a center. You kicked him to guard, right? You took Josh Myers, who was a center, in the second round, right? Am I thinking right? Yeah, it was a second-round pick, yeah. Everything's so blurry now, dude. I swear. We've done so many mock drafts and broken down. This is our third season doing the pod during the draft. It's everything starts to blend together. I'm like, when was that guy? Clayton, he was drafted in 1998. Oh, hell, my bad. Like, I'm lost now. So let's see. Is there anything in the chat we need to hit on, Tim? We got anything starred?
I think we're caught up.
Here we go.
Yeah, here. Vahan, I'm not going to butcher your last name. Vahan said Stewart News had to leave the Senior Bowl, so we look into that. Yep.
Yeah. Let me I'll go look that up real quick. If you want to hit on anything else in the chat, let me see if I can figure out what the heck's going on there. Before we make this last pick, I'll keep this information up for us though.
We got more breaking news. Holmes confirmed AFAM is currently getting a manicure and could not join us this morning. Gotta love it. Even when he's not here, he's catching strays.
It's hilarious. Let's go.
Somewhere AFAM is he's ironing and pressing his Pat Mahomes jersey, getting ready for the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Exactly right. Oh, we got all kinds of Shamar Stewart tape out there on Twitter. We might hit a little bit of that tonight. I'm trying to see latest news. Shamar Stewart, pre-athletic testing / knowing RAS scores. Here are a few of my predictions on the list. That the Packers will like at the Senior Bowl. Texas A&M edge Shamar Stewart, Florida State cornerback, and then Ole Miss defensive lineman Walter Nolan. I'm not seeing anything about him leaving. It may have just happened too, though. You know what I mean? So I'm not seeing.
Yeah, you're hoping he didn't
tweet
something.
Right there. Yeah, behind, but I'm not seeing it on the. You guys do your own research, okay?
There could be a multitude of reasons why a guy has to leave too. You know,
right.
Not necessarily injury or something crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, just glancing around. I don't see where he left unless maybe it happened yesterday and I didn't know it, right? But God, Twitter's so funny, man. Just seeing some of the posts was just like unbelievable. These dirt bags out here. There are dirt bags though. All right, Tim, you got anything else, man? James Pierce Jr., we're going to go ahead and select him. Is there any other positions you want to see here before we wrap up, man?
Now don't everybody crucify me here, but safety. Just look at safety real quick because I'm looking at safety and I'm thinking slot cornerback. I'm not thinking safety at all. So please don't roast
since
me.
You specified that, here, let's do this. Let's add corner too, and let's see who has slot ability here, right? Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame still on the board. He's mostly an outside corner, right? And he had that hip injury that's going to play a little bit of a role. Trey Amos at corner, outside corner predominantly, right? Not a slot. So let's see where we get to the first guy who can play slot. Siobhan Ravel's outside. Okay. Darian Porter. Did you have somebody you want to mention, Tim?
Yeah, but he's not a corner. He's a safety.
Okay.
Upton Stout, Western Kentucky. He's going to be down probably.
Okay. So let's see where the first player is that could play slot. So here's Xavier Watts from Notre Dame. Guys are going to go, here's Clayton with his Notre Dame logic. You're going to try to make this work. It is interesting, though, Tim. 465 snaps deep, 306 in the box, 174 in the slot. He played 207 in the slot last year.
See, here's a guy.
Yeah, you want to hear another fun fact about Xavier Watts? He was a team captain.
Here's a guy. Put a star on it. Let's go.
Just saying. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to do it on Madden. All right. I promise you that. Xavier Watts. And I'm going to put slot ? Okay. That might be a conversation to have a little later. Let's see. Next, you got Sebastian Castro. Oh, Tim, here we go. 465 snaps in the slot for Iowa last year. The year before, 703. I don't even know why he's listed as a safety. That dude's a slot defender. Out of Iowa. There's precedent there. He's 5'11", 205.
He's 24, though, so, Goody might not be interested.
Look at this. Hey, Tim, the Jaden Reed second-round effect. Last year, 91.2 PFF grade, bro.
Telling you.
Oh, my God. Write him down, boys. This is somebody that might be low-key under the radar here. Sebastian Castro. And again, that is a slot. They're both safeties. All right, so we got that. That's really interesting there, man.
I'm telling you, there's a handful of these guys that are safeties, that are slot dudes.
Yeah, there's Kevin Winslow. I'm sorry, not Winslow. Kevin Winston. Going back to Family Matters here. Zy Alexander, he's mostly an outside corner, so nothing there. Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky, he's an outside corner. He battled some injuries this year. Safety, Lathan Ransom.
Yep, here's a guy, slot guy.
Got a little bit of slot, yeah, 82. Yep. And he also played in the box. You got to look at that box number. So that's, he's essentially – he can
Jordan Hancock, another OSU guy.
Man, what's his coverage grade? 66.2. That'll probably deter you a little bit from him being a slot corner, right? And again, that was let's see here, Andrew Buka. Dang, look at that PFF grade, Tim. Dang, but he is just a true safety. Well, he played some slot in 2023, 315 snaps.
Yep.
Played much better at safety this year with a 90 PFF grade. That's Andrew Makuba. Sorry, hopefully I'm saying that right. out of Texas. All right, who else we got here? Mello Dotson. We won't go too far outside of the top 100. He's an outside corner, so nothing there. Jonas Sanker. Sanker, I hardly know her. 139 snaps in the slot. He had 358 in the box and only 282 deep. So there's some slot versatility there. 77.8 the year before. Let's write him down. And again, there's precedent for this, right, Tim? Like you got a little versatility, safety that could kick inside. Obviously they tried that with Javon Bullard this year. So, and I love that you put the disclaimer out there too, like, hey guys, don't roast me. Let's look at safety. I'm glad we did this, especially grouping it with the corners because you can compare apples to apples here.
Exactly.
Billy Bowman Jr., slot guy. There's another one, safety, right? A lot of these safeties playing some slot, man. He's out of Oklahoma, Billy Bowman Jr. So, all right, good deal, man. That's interesting to look at that stuff, man. And again, the PFF grades, they're not everything, guys. It's just another tool that we can use. Jacob Parrish, and he's on the defensive line, 73 snaps. They had that dude mugging everywhere, didn't he? That's interesting. He's kind of all over the joint. So, all right, man. I think we did it, Tim. I think we covered enough here, man. Anything else you got before we wrap up, bro?
No, I think this is a good look. I'll keep doing I've been digging through the bottom of the barrel too for some of these guys, just because I know, we need some backup depth at corner, but I think it'd be great if we had some more options in the slot as well, especially if we're going to have Keyshawn on the boundary. I don't want to see another scenario where we have to put him in the slot on the fly because of injury or something. So if we have some depth there, I think we may be able to do that.
So Turtle says, hour 3, let's run it. If we go hour 3, somebody's going to have to let me sleep on their couch. My wife's going to kick me out of the house. Okay, I promise you that. So 32, here we go with the 32nd pick. The Kansas City Chiefs take James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee. Of course, they get arguably the steal of the draft there. So, again, here is the mock draft. Matter of fact, I'll just close this out, Tim. I don't think there's anything else we need there. And I've got the screen grab already. I did it before we went live here. So we'll just pop it up on the screen and I'll go full screen where I can actually read what I'm doing here. There is the Daniel Jeremiah first round draft. Well, what'd you have there on that comment there, Tim?
That was Prince asking about the Western Kentucky guy. Upton Stout is his name.
What was he, a safety?
He's a safety, but hundreds of snaps in the slot. Another slot guy. Probably not super high though on the board.
Dang, boy, I see him now though, Tim. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it. Let me put him on the screen for you.
He caught my eye because again, late round value.
Yeah, here you go, Upton Stout.
Yeah, 178th on their ranking. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the grades though.
Yeah, dude. Again, small school, right?
Yep.
But boy, oh boy. That is solid, man. Yeah, his PFF grades, for those of you listening on the pod, he's only 5'9", though. That's probably what hurts him, right? 5'9", 182.
Yeah, he's not playing receiver. He'll be all right.
But yeah, though, 74, jump to an 80, then jump to an 84. Redshirt junior, doesn't show his age. And, his snaps, you said, Tim, 355 in the slot. He's definitely a slot corner.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Now, here's what's crazy. Usually you could kind of see, his grade jumped because they moved positions, right? But his grade was steady even when he was just playing corner. That's wild that they've got him listed as a safety because in 2022, he was a corner, right?
Yep.
He played outside corner. And then in 2023, he played 265 snaps in corner, and they moved him around a little bit, 74 slot, right? 35 box, 44 mugging. And then in 2024, he went predominantly to the slot with 355 snaps. He still played corner 71. He was in the box 99, played deep 30, and was on the D line 78 snaps. So,
right. So talk about a guy that, maybe he'd be a good rotational guy in that secondary, man. Probably not playing a lot of safety, but he'd probably be playing some slot.
I'm going to put him down. Again, I know how good he is with the size thing.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that makes me think, there's no shot. But you never know, man. You never know. Upton Stout. And he is I'm going to put slot question mark, but he's definitely listed as a safety, and that was Western Kentucky, right? So I'm eager to see where he ends up on our board, especially with him being undersized.
Right.
So, matter of fact, I might be able to.
That's like the worst thing you can say about him.
Right.
Short.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. How many times have we drafted these Adonises, right? It's he's got the perfect build and not do anything. So
exactly.
Got to take that in consideration. Let's see here. Again, that's Upton Stout. Let's see if I can find him real quick on the board.
Good point by Doug in the chat. He crapped the bed against Arkansas there, 41 grade. Didn't look good. Like you always talk about, how do you look against some of the top, schools?
Yeah. And his best game was against Sam Houston, I think is who that is. So it's a small school, 87.6. That's a good point. That's a good eye there. Doesn't mean it makes him a bad football player. It's just that can be a cluster buster, right? How did they play in big games?
Is that Bama or Arkansas on top? It's Bama, isn't it? Yeah, 41.
That's Alabama.
That's Alabama.
Yeah. At Bama too. So
yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck. Say, does anybody play well at Bama?
Week 1 at Bama, covering their slot.
Yikes.
Might want to give him a little bit of grace there, but it would have been, on the flip side though, like the viewer was saying, if he dominates that game, boy, you're like, oh man,
yeah,
that's a big.
Nobody's talking about him being 5'9" anymore. Yeah.
Again, what can they do for our team? Look at it through the filter of what can they do, instead of what can't they do. Yep. If you got someone who rises to the occasion in those big games, hey, that's what they can do. In this case, if you were asked what can he do, man, he's versatile as hell. He's undersized, but he's versatile as hell, and he played his best football in the slot. That's what he can do.
Yeah. So, like, what if you know Bullard's a slot guy, right? We've kind of established that already. I mean, you get a guy like this and Javon Bullard. Now we're cooking. We got slot kind of taken care of. We can focus on the boundary, and we know our safety room is good with X and Williams and Oladapo. So, just the thought.
Here's the other thing too. When you look at a player that's undersized, like Upton Stout is, right? They've got him listed 5'9", 182, right? When you look at someone who's undersized like that, you immediately think, okay, well, what is he? If you're undersized and you got questions, well, he's probably going to be a liability in the run game, and he probably has trouble covering, right? Run defense grade 90.9, right? Missed tackle rate 7.9%. That's almost maxed out. The average depth of tackle, that's a little concerning, right? 5.9, that's below the median mark. But the coverage grade is 78.2, pretty solid. Again, who was he covering though? Right? You got to ask yourself that. But yeah, on our board, Tim, we've got him in the 143 spot. So we've got him at 143, and the PFF big board has him at 178. So we've got him almost a whole round earlier than PFF has him. So
interesting.
Got to keep an eye on him. I'd like to see the what am I trying to say here? I'd like to see the precedent on how many 5'9" slot corner / safeties are drafted in the league too. I'd say it's a pretty low number, right?
Exactly. That could be why he falls.
Yeah.
He could free fall during the draft.
Yeah, no doubt. It's been a fun episode, man. We covered a lot. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Like we wanted to take a different approach and do Daniel Jeremiah's mock draft. That way we can see how it unfolds. Now that's his first mock draft. We can do that with everybody's mock drafts. Like if you guys want to do it with a Mel Kiper anyway, we can do that. If you want to do the next Daniel Jeremiah mock draft and see how it changed, we can compare and contrast. It's just there's so many mock drafts out there that you can get lost in the shuffle of who's important and whose isn't. I feel like Daniel Jeremiah is at the top of the list for me as one of the most important ones. So he's got a inside, working relationship, obviously, with all these, coaches, these universities. These coaches know Daniel Jeremiah has the power to increase the stock of a player, right? But he's also going to approach it from an honest standpoint. That's the thing I like about Daniel Jeremiah, if I can say this and we'll wrap up. I put him over other people because I feel like he's not as easily swayed in his opinion, right? He's a stand-up dude. Dad was a pastor. You hear him on TV. He's got very, very high values, right? I don't see him as one of those dudes that would do go kind of crooked into the media and try to, well, let me help my boy out down here because that helps the school. And sometimes, believe it or not, that's a real thing. It really is. So he just I've been listening to him now for over a decade, and I haven't heard him slip up yet. It just seems like he's straight to the point type dude. So anyway, anything else, Tim?
No, we're good to go. Put the star next to Upton Stout.
I got him wrote down here, and we'll take that short list and we'll do a little bit deeper dive here. And what we need to find out.
First of all, he's 5'10.5" when he's wearing cleats, so let's not worry too much about his height. Okay,
right. The problem is the other guys are too, right? They go from 6 foot to 6'2". So here's what we need to do. We need to find out all these lists. Xavier Watts, we know, Sebastian Castro. Some of these names we haven't heard, Tim, like the Jones Sanker, Billy Bowman Jr. and Upton Stout. We need to see, are they going to be at the Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl? Because I would love to see Upton Stout if he's going to one of those two.
Yes.
And again, probably take a little bit digging, but we need to figure out that information before we go live tonight. Maybe we can deep dive that a little bit more. So, again, that's why you do these exercises. Gives you an opportunity to uncover names that you otherwise wouldn't have, rather than going and arguing on Twitter and telling people their mock drafts are wrong and defending yours. Why not take someone else's mock draft, work the exercise in, and go, okay, here's what sticks out to us. And we got a couple answers today, but I feel like we also got a couple questions too. Is James Pierce really going to fall that far? Right. So,
exactly.
All right, Tim, thank you for your time, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Clayton. This was awesome. See you tonight, man.
All right. We'll see you guys tonight. Everybody hit that like button for us. Feel free to sub to the channel. Thank you all for making us a part of your morning. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world. Go back.
And we go.
Bye, guys.